2019 Venezuelan presidential crisis. Guaidó assumption of presidential powers and duties. After his speech, the National Assembly initially released a press statement saying that Guaidó had taken the role of acting president. A later statement replaced this one and the position of Guaidó was clarified, reinforcing that he was recognized as acting president but that they needed to retake power. This motion was not considered a coup d'état based on the acknowledged illegitimacy of Maduro by many governments, and the constitutional processes that the National Assembly were following. Specifically, they invoked Articles 233, 333, and 350. On this day, Guaidó received a letter from the President of the Supreme Tribunal of Justice of Venezuela in exile, which is based in Panama, requesting him to become acting president of Venezuela. Guaidó announced change, and nationwide protests to be held on 23 January, inciting a slogan chant of Yes We Can. Spanish, sí, se puede. This date is the same day as the removal of Marcos Pérez Jiménez in 1958. The National Assembly worked with the Venezuelan Liberation Front, FABL, to create a plan for the protests and marches, organizing a unified national force. It was also revealed on 11 January that plans involved offering incentives for the armed forces to disavow Maduro. The Organization of American States were the first to give official support to this action, stating that they welcome the assumption of Juan Guaidó as interim president of Venezuela in accordance with Article 233 of the political constitution. You have our support, that of the international community and of the people of Venezuela. Later on the day, Brazil and Colombia gave their support to Guaidó as acting president of Venezuela. Venezuelan political experts, like David Smiled from the Washington Office on Latin America, suggested that it would enrage Maduro, who already called the National Assembly traitors for not attending his inauguration, and who might arrest or attack more of its members. A friend of Guaidó, in response, said that they were aware of the risks but believed it needed to be done to allow democracy to reappear. Widespread support. More countries and organizations began to reaffirm their support for the only legitimate democratic body in Venezuela. Businesses also took the introduction of a potential new government as a sign to stop discussions and negotiations with Maduro, now able to access a government with democratic backing. These included the Venezuela Creditors Committee, a fund bank that can give loans to the ailing nation and which couldn't finalize an agreement with Maduro in 2017, and all of the other businesses represented by the OFAC Union. These include Electricidad de Caracas, providing electrical power to the capital and surrounding areas, and PSA, the nation's largest oil and gas company, which is, in turn, the nation's largest industry. Lima Group. Late on 11 January and on 12 January, several nations of the Lima Group that had not previously given independent statements began releasing them. These documents all included their nation's agreement to not recognize Maduro but were more focused on clarifying individual stances on non-interventionism regarding a separate territorial dispute between Venezuela and Guyana. Despite this, the Maduro government, via several vice-presidential press releases, claimed that these countries had rectified themselves to support him as president. They had not, with the non-intervention statement seen as a concession to prevent rash action by Maduro after he broadly threatened the group. The Venezuelan foreign minister, Jorge Arreaza, gave a different statement to the vice presidential office, saying that Venezuela had received diplomatic notices from some Lima Group countries about the original dispute. Panama restated the group's original 9th point, highlighting issues of international law. Colombia's statement reiterated the group resolution and pledged to support the restoration of democracy and constitutional order in Venezuela, as well as saying that they do not have a position on the territorial dispute. Arreaza defied his government by refuting the claims that the Lima Group recognized Maduro's government, as well as doubling Maduro's 48-hour demand period for non-intervention for the remaining countries after it expired. He also promoted peaceful diplomatic discussion with neighboring countries. The group, except for Mexico, which called for non-intervention in Venezuelan internal affairs, continued to back the Guaidó government, with the foreign minister of Chile pledging unlimited support.